Lowe's knows how to help you get the most out of your store run. That's why members save more with My Lowe's Rewards. Earn points towards My Lowe's money on eligible purchases. Get access to member-only deals and free member gifts. Plus, unlock free standard shipping when you reach Silver Key status. So what are you waiting for? Join for free today. Lowe's. We help. You save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Every cup of Nespresso coffee is an invitation to transform your morning routine into a ritual you can treasure each and every day. Using the Virtuo Pup, a simple touch of the button freshly brews bold aromas and a rich, velvety crema layer for delicious cafe-quality coffee at home. Whether you enjoy your coffee hot or over ice, every sip, every morning is unforgettable. Nothing tastes like Nespresso coffee. Visit Nespresso.com or our app to explore our full range of easy-to-use machines and coffees not found anywhere else.
You know what's smart? Enjoying a fresh gourmet meal at home that you didn't have to cook. Meet Factor, your loophole in the laws of mealtime. Chef-crafted meals delivered with a tap, ready in just 2 minutes. You know what's even smarter? Treating yourself without cheating your goals. Factor is dietitian approved, chef prepared, and you plated. Pretty smart, huh? Refresh your routine and eat smart with Factor. Learn more at factormeals.com.
Welcome to another Finely Edged production for the Premier League Cricket Club. Connecting players and coaches, clubs and leagues, volunteers and supporters alike, you're in the right place for the best of the 33 ECB Premier Leagues and the 20 NCCA counties, bringing you the stories, the stats and the standout performances that make this game great. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to both our Premier League and NCCA shows so you don't miss any episodes. Now, shall we get stuck in? So welcome everybody to the Premier League Cricket Show. And once again, I can't believe it's 12 months since we did this. We're turning this into the European Cricket Show. Myself and Mr. Newsom, how you doing, Hugh?
Very good. Getting excited about a bit of European cricket over in Cardiff.
And once again, we're joined by the voice of European cricket, Mr. Vinny Sandhu. How you doing, bud?
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm great, Ian. Hi, Hugh. Great to be back on the show. We had a really good chat last year. I think I've been perfect in my prediction so far as to who will win it.
What, Hornchurch, England?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a safe guess on this show.
Yeah.
But
I'm presuming when you do the French show, you just say Dre, France.
Just nod and say oui. Although, I mean, they'll be back. I know, really excited. 35 teams now. Format, it's the same as last year. So I think now we've settled on this format for a while. I think people really like. So whereas in the Euros of cricket, the ECC, we went to divisions this year. I think at the club level, you're more able to compete with teams that might be a different level. So like, for example, in the European Cricket League, which, by the way, if you don't know, it's the Champions League of European Cricket. It's the champion club from all these different countries coming together. But some of the results we've had in the past, Greece have beaten England at the ECL. What's another one? Bulgaria
Germany have beaten England. Let's not forget Darmstadt.
Germany have beaten England. Yeah, Germany have beaten England. Bulgaria have beaten the Netherlands.
Yeah.
In a game where Bulgaria dropped 13 catches in an innings. They still won against VOC Rotterdam. So, yeah, we're really, really excited. This is now the 5th edition of the ECL. It was our first tournament we ever did on the European Cricket Network back in July 2019, pre-COVID. It was only 3 days back then. It was only 8 teams back then. Now with 35 teams, they're broken up into 7 groups of 5. And, yeah, it's just really exciting. And, look, the big question this year is, will we have our first ever 2-time ECL champion? We got 4 previous champions. 3 of them are there. VOC Rotterdam, for the first time, they haven't qualified for an ECL. But Pakai Badalona from Spain are there. Dreux are there. Hornchurch there. So Dreux from France, Hornchurch from England, of course. And so it's going to be really unpredictable. For a lot of people, they tell me this is their favourite tournament of the year. They're like, this is the one that started it all off.
Yeah.
You get to see cricketers sometimes playing against other cricketers that have wildly different levels of experience. So it's really exciting. And I suppose the other thing is, for a lot of these cricketers, that aren't in their national teams in Europe, for example, this could be their only trip to the Cardiff Oval.
Absolutely.
So if you're in the national team, you kind of know every year you get a chance to go. We're at the ECC, at the Euros of Cricket, whereas for some of these players, I'll take Budapest Blinders from Hungary, for example. For some of their players that aren't in the national team, this could be a once in a lifetime. So it kind of adds to the drama, adds to the emotion.
Definitely. And it's 35 teams split into 7 groups over 3 weeks or so before we get to finals week. And we'll do what we did last year, Vinny. We're going to run through the groups sort of rapid case all the way through because there are standouts in there. And I know that the nice thing is that most of the squads are now in. We're starting to get a feel for who people are bringing, and in particular the wild cards who are being thrown out there by 1 or 2 people, because that always makes it interesting.
Yeah, I'll explain that. So obviously when you're playing for your national team, so at the Euros of Cricket, for example, these are ICC regulations. You need to qualify to play national cricket for that country. So if you've just moved to a country, you don't qualify unless you're a citizen. So you need to either be a citizen of the country or you need to have lived there for 3 years. Now, that's in international cricket. Now, this is club cricket. So what we kind of realized, a couple of things. At the international level, we've broken into tiers now because it's not like, as an international team, you can just recruit a hotshot. You're kind of limited to who's qualified for you. But in the club game, I think it's been a really good thing because sometimes you find teams, they might have a certain nucleus of players. Some of them might not be able to travel for work reasons, for family reasons, for all kinds of reasons. And so who do you fill up the team with? Yeah. So some teams did this more than others, but we made a bit of a decision a couple of years ago now that, look, we can allow all teams 2 wildcard players. And what that basically means is they don't have to be from your club. They can be from anywhere. So everyone else in the squad needs to have played for the club in the last 12 months in an organised match. But your 2 wildcard players pretty much can be from anywhere. So we've seen some crazy wildcards come in already. Some of the big teams have a couple. Some of the, underdog teams have a couple. Some teams are happy with their players and say, look, you got us this far. We want to go with all the players available. That's fine. But it does throw up a few interesting things, and it probably does also make some of those underdog teams a bit more competitive if you get a star player or 2 in there.
The thing with the wildcard player is, and in particular in T10 cricket, one player can win you a match. So it really adds a lovely layer of uncertainty to proceedings, doesn't it?
No, Hornchurch still having nightmares about the mummy. If you remember the mummy back from 2023, and so one of the things is with this, what I do have this year is I do have the squads. The provisional squads in front of me. So I'll be referring on occasion if anything catches my eye as we go through the teams. But I can tell you that I don't see a mummy in the Byron group. By the way, Byron from Greece, they are in Hornchurch's group again. But we'll probably come to that when we get to Group B.
We will. Let's start at Group A. And 2 of, let's be blunt about it, Hornchurch's main adversaries over the last couple of years, Dre and Darmstadt. Darmstadt, who showed Hornchurch what the ECL's all about in their first ever game. And I will still say it, and I will say it directly to the Hornchurch lads as I did last week. You were like rabbits in headlights in that first game playing against Darmstadt.
They came in and, let's be honest, the Hornchurch probably didn't know what they were in for. Now they've got a lot better idea. We'll talk about them shortly, I'm sure. But yeah, Battle of the Ds. And I think the very first game is Darmstadt CC of
good
Germany
game
against Dre of France. Now, Darmstadt CC are really unlucky that they haven't made a championship week before. Remember, they lost a real heartbreaker. You probably remember 2 years ago in the game before the final, so to qualify for the final, Darmstadt lost to Byron of Greece in a real heart stopper. So there was like bats flying everywhere. There were stumps flying everywhere. There were tears flying everywhere. It was just one of those real classic games. But Darmstadt CC also, I remember 2 years ago, for a while, they looked like the best fielding team on the face of the earth. They had 5 direct hit run-outs in a game, and they were just hitting from everywhere. Yeah. So, look, Darmstadt CC, they qualify for their second ECL. We didn't see them last year. So they're one of a couple of teams that have been before, not qualified last year. I think they come back super hungry. They'll be very, very good to watch. Dre, of course, former champions in 2023. They beat Hornchurch of England in that final. They were huge underdog champions back then. Last year, I suppose a bit more on the radar. They just missed out in the Final Four in Championship Week last year. So that really stung them. It was a game that could have gone either way. Actually, it was a golden ball in a game they weren't playing in that decided whether they qualified or not. Who knows if they did qualify in fourth, maybe they could win it again. They're that kind of team. Group A as well, I'm pretty excited to see another team we have seen before, Stari Grad of Serbia last year. And one thing that I really like about them, some of the young players coming through in Serbian cricket, some of the young native players. And so I think they'll be a handful. I think it'll be a great learning curve. I think they are probably underdogs, but still, they probably like it that way. ACC Bucharest from Romania qualify for their first ECL ever, but they're a team that we have seen a lot, ACCB on the network.
Yeah.
I remember at one point they actually held the quickest power play and they scored 77 in this power play. They also still hold the record for the quickest to 100. They did that in 3.4 overs. Wow. But let me tell you, lost that. And that's how crazy ECN cricket is. True story. The other team in Group A, Peel and St John's of Isle of Man. Their first time here. I think, they'll be a bit more competitive than what we've seen from Isle of Man in this competition, just looking at some of their players that they've got. And Ollie Webster, who's captaining Isle of Man in the ECC, plays for them. And actually, they're a good one, actually, to have a little look at their squad. They've also got Aki Vandenberg, who was driving Corey crazy last year. He was in love with him. Also, they've got Eddie Beard, who, if you remember last year, had an incredibly good ECC. Yeah, he did. So, look, they're definitely going to be pretty competitive. Kieran Court, good left-arm death bowler. So, yeah, like all the groups, Group A is going to be very, very interesting.
I think it will be between the top two, as I'm looking at it on the screen. Darmstadt and Peel and St John's could be that banana skin for them, but it's the lack of experience potentially in that squad might make the difference there, I think.
Potentially.
Let's have a look at the next group. Group B, let's get into it. Yeah, the very top, we have the champions, El Campeones, Hornchurch. They've not stopped going on about it for the last 12 months, but I love them for it because they love ECN and they're doing a great job in building it up time and time again. This time they're going to be challenged not by Wimbledon, but by Northern from Liverpool. You've got Cockney Corner and the Scousers coming at the same time next week, Vinny.
Barbed wire fences going up.
It could be quite.
Lots of guys in yellow overalls to keep them apart. Yeah,
yeah. Although I'm told that maybe one or two are waiting for finals week because actually,
maybe
get there. But let's look at the group as a whole. They've got the Austrian Cricket Tigers, Al Fatah, and one of my favourite teams in the last few years. They've got Byron as well. So it's a good mix of a group of inexperience. Byron can beat anyone, to be frank. And then the Hornchurch Northern game, that's going to be the big one, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it will. The thing is, the two England teams being in one group, and that is kind of in the rules now that, to make sure we have as many different countries represented in Championship Week, we don't want to risk two groups coming from the same country. So that's why Hornchurch and Northern are in the one group. There's one group I feel I should be asking you more about because obviously you're quite the expert.
I'm sitting on the fence on this group.
Yeah, look, it's the whole kind of experience level, which is probably the biggest difference between Hornchurch and Northern CC. I think, if you look at the quality of cricketers, although Hornchurch, once again, they know the rules. They they can get a couple of wild cards in there. I know they had the Big Bird available in Championship Week last year, Mohamed Irfan Jr. I noticed Ian Cobain's in their squad. He's got over a decade in professional cricket. I remember him playing.
And you do know where Ian Cobain plays his club cricket now?
Yeah, you do. Well, you tell me.
In the same league as Northern.
Yeah, is that right? Okay. Well, I just loved it on the social media post. It described him as George Hankin's former friend. Or no, former mate. Maybe they meant former teammate, but I just thought, go look that up. There's a bombshell, former mate. I don't know if they've had a falling out or something, but I imagine they'll open the batting together. But yeah, look, Adil Malik, very clever with his speed. Gavin Griffiths. I mean, we could go on and on. Hopefully we don't see Paul Murray resorting to knocking over his own stumps this time.
No.
But Hornchurch, look, they're finalists last 2 years, champions last year. They know the terrain. And when you compare them to Northern, and look, you have to be a brilliant cricket team to be able to qualify from England. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of teams that would love to be in that position. But then, as we saw with Wimbledon last year, you got to hit the ground running. We saw Wimbledon go down to Prague CC of Czechia last year. So anything can happen, but it's who will win those big games, who will win those big moments in games. And that's before we talk about bogey teams like Byron, who, by the way, had a bit of a disappointing one last year, but they're back for their third ECL, and I'm sure they're keen to do better. Again, they've drawn a tough group. They always seem to. And look, one team to watch in this group that I would say you'd underestimate them, but it's the Austrian Cricket Tigers.
Because they play a brand of interesting cricket.
They do, and they actually were in Tunbridge Wells' group back in 2022. Yeah. And they're very, very comfortable with the format. They've got the Austrian national captain, a.k.a. Iqbal, is in there. He's had a purple patch in international cricket over the last few years. Just looking at their squad, they're going to be a handful. Look out for big Mirza Hassan, who's just like a man mountain, and clever death bowling like Umar Tariq, who's a guy who once took 2 hat-tricks in the same innings. He's the only player to do that. And we saw him recently for the Austrian national team. So, Al Fatah, just touch on them quickly. I think Cyprus, they've always kind of found it quite tough going at the Carlton Oval. I think it's a lot to do with kind of the style of cricket they play and the level of their domestic cricket. They can get away with things there they might not be able to, both at international and the ECL level. Having said that, we saw Al Fatah throw up some pretty big players last year. You know, we saw 150s individually and things like that. Saw that a couple of times in Cyprus. So if they can harness some of that, then who knows? And they'll be hoping to recreate kind of what the Punjab Lions Nicosia did back in 2022, who went this close to knocking Pak-a-Care out of the competition. They beat them in qualifier 1. They then went down to them in a rain-affected final in their group. And if that had happened, then Pak-a-Care never would have been champions in 2022. So certainly Group B a pretty interesting one as well.
It's that experience level, isn't it, that's so important. That's possibly going to be the difference between the two English teams. It seems so important in this short format. It's such an unusual format compared to what they play at a national level. So I feel that's going to be the deciding factor. So I'm going to put myself not on the fence. I'm thinking Hornchurch. Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to put the mocker on them, but I just think they'd be quite significant favourites because their ability to get a good start and not have to spend time finding their feet. And honestly, when a team dominates Championship Week like they did last year, you know, all the other teams in Championship Week, they were good teams, but they were all kind of taking points off each other. Hornchurch just seemed to
blow them away,
fly to the top and let the others fight for second. So,
I'm going to sit on the fence because of knowing the squads as I do. Ian Coburn and Merv Westfield being added to the Hornchurch squad are significant, to say the least. But then as you go through the squads, there's some very much interesting sort of matchups, to use the phrase. So Tom Sefton, who plays for Northern, he's the Mark Whitlock of the Northern side. And both the two of them canny bowlers. You've got Mr. Tyler McGladry, the big show, as we like to call him, playing for Northern. And he'll listen to this and say, Livo, what are you saying? They've got a new player, Louis Babra, who's come from Papelwick. So this is a guy who didn't get them to the T20 finals, but he's a Premier League player who's actually moved up this winter. So that's an interesting one.
Can I just say, I'm really looking forward to getting to know the Northern team and just kind of getting to know a bit more of what makes them tick. I know they must be a really, really close unit. They've had some really exciting times together over the last season, and they could really put the cherry on top here. So great opportunity. And Group B, it's going to be big.
It's always going to be the big one. Full stop. End of story, isn't it? It was the same with Wimbledon and Hornchurch last year, and we'll see where it goes when we get out there.
Hey, Fidelity. What's it cost to invest with the Fidelity app?
Start with as little as $1 with no account fees or trade commissions on U.S. stocks and ETFs.
That's music to my ears.
I can only talk.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Sell order assessment fee not included. A limited number of ETFs are subject to a transaction-based service fee of $100. See full list at fidelity.com/commissions. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast here to tell you about Michelob Ultra Courtside. It's getting fans closer to the NBA with a chance to win prizes like courtside seats, a trip to All-Star Weekend, and much more. Check it out at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access, Courtside 24-25 sweepstakes, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 and up. Begins on October 1st, 2024, ends July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
Let's jump into Group C. We're moving north of the border, as we like to say, and we've got our friends from Grange in Scotland, together with the Royal Strikers, Skanderborg, Christiania, and Sophia Stars.
A little bit of the north and the east about this. I know you go north to Scotland, but then you go further north, and you get Denmark and Norway in the same group, northern neighbours. Look, and Sophia Stars out from Bulgaria. And Sophia Stars more or less are Indo-Bulgarian that have qualified before, slight change of name, bit of a technicality, but they feel like the same team. Prakash Mishra will lead them. So we could see him again. He's also a great cook. So starting with Bulgaria there. But yeah, obviously Grange, it's a big story here, qualifying for the first time out of Scotland. And I was wondering what their squad would look like. Actually, we've only got two players that we've seen on ECM before. Now, one of them is Finlay McCreath, who played in the ECC last year for them, and for Scotland 11, I should say. And he came in and he just dominated straight away. Like, he just, some people just pick it up. Yeah. Pick it up so quickly. And the other one there is Jack Jarvis. Now, Jack Jarvis was actually MVP of the Western Shield last year, playing for the British and Irish 11. So Jack Jarvis is in there. He's also got experience with the full Scottish side. So again, Grange, will they pick up quickly? I think they've got every reason to think so. But they're going to run into some traffic there. Now, Skanderborg from Denmark, there's something about Denmark. They just have a bit of a jinx in losing group finals. They've never made it to a championship week in either the ETL or the ECC, despite being in, I count, probably half a dozen finals. And Skanderborg, they did lose the final of their group last year, Group A, against Gina Brescia, despite Skanderborg really kind of setting the pace in that group. So, yeah, Skanderborg, I think, will be very, very hungry to sort that out. They're going to have to go through the Scots. Royal Strikers, a really interesting one from Malta, Priyan Pushparajan, who has kind of dominated with the bat and the ball for them. He's kind of burst onto the scene. They're a very good player. Christiania qualifying for the first time from Norway. And again, you'll see a couple of players in there from Christiania that I do recognise. Probably Raza Iqbal is the one to watch. And he's a guy who's played a lot at the Cardiff Oval. Walid Gowrie as well for Christiania, the first ever ECC hat-trick taker back in 2021. And also a brilliant bat. Bats 3, bowls brilliantly. So I think the northern neighbours will be a bit of a stumbling block for the Scots in that one. And then, I already talked about Bulgaria. And look, again, they're underdogs, but you just kind of get to the Cardiff Oval, you start to believe anything's possible. And like I said, Bulgarian side has beaten the reigning, well, not reigning champions at the time, but the former champions VOC Rotterdam of the Netherlands before. So, who knows? And
I think what's interesting with this group, Jack Jarvis, he's not in the Western Shield squad the week before. That would have been really interesting if he'd have actually got a run. You can imagine that if Grange had been in Group A, I'm sure they'd have gone, right, you're going to play Western Shield back in. He's used to it now, isn't he? The format.
He's a natural. I remember thinking that when he first graced us with his presence at the Cardiff Oval for the Scottish 11. He's got a heart that bleeds blue. He's got talent with the bat and the ball, and I think he'll be a real key player for them. Look, the other thing is, I remember 3-day groups, injuries can happen. Just someone a couple of quick outs can happen. Confidence can be shot. A lot can change though.
It looks like Skanderborg have got a Irish under-19 player in Matt Weldon playing from left arm seamer, so he looks useful.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's the thing. They've got Nikolai Darmgard, or Nikolai Legsgaard, as he's known sometimes, who plays domestically in Ireland. So, he's a Danish player. He also starred for Team Europe last year in the Western Shield. So I think that's where you get access to someone like a Matt Weldon, who we did see for Ireland 11 in the ECC last year. So yeah, and watch out for like good national, like native players as well. So ethnically Danish players like Anders Bulow, who bowls really well, bowls seam up. Tor Turner will have a key role behind the stumps as well. And then you got like Shangiv T. I don't mind pronouncing his name. Everyone else balks at it, but Shangiv Tanikaitasen, who is a real class act as well. So yeah, looking at that, yeah, interesting. They'll be really disappointed if they miss out again.
I think it's the type of group where we will definitely see what the depth of European cricket is growing over the years.
It looks like it.
Definitely. Let's move on to group. Let's go to Group D, which starts on Wednesday, the 5th of March, with former champions a.k.a. Badalona at the top of the list. But the team I am following in this one, because I've seen their kit on social media today, are the Budapest Blinders, and I think they've got a cracking kit. And also, my mate Tom Jones is the Hungarian national coach, so I've got to support the Hungarians, definitely. Interesting group of Eastern European teams together with a.k.a. and the Zurich Nomads.
It's an interesting one. I was trying to pick a group of death, but it's really difficult. I mean, you could say the English group, obviously, but like as far as like all five, I can't really differentiate. That's probably a good sign. So Group D seems very strong to me, just off the bat, because a.k.a. Badalona former champions, and they missed out last year and narrowly the year before. So now we're talking like 3 years since they came from nowhere to win that European Championship against Tunbridge Wells. But then Zurich Nomads, they're a team that have a couple of really good players, more than a couple, to be honest. I remember they cracked 203 off 10 overs in the ECS Switzerland about 18 months ago. You got Fahim Nazir for them, very, very good player, first-class experience in Pakistan. Hassan Ahmed, who we saw last year playing for Gina Brescia, he normally turns out for Zurich Nomads. So, I mean, there's your opening combination. You got Brno from Czechia. Now, they were a part of the ECL, I think in 23, and they just had a bit of a shocker that week. It was a week to forget, and nothing went right for them. So I really feel happy that they get another opportunity, Brno, and there's like a big rivalry between Brno and Prague CC, like the two biggest cities in Czechia there. And Prague CC, if you remember last year, they beat Wimbledon. Brno, every time they play in the T20 final against Prague CC, it's like a last over or second last ball game or something like that. And so, Brno, I think with Riaz Afridi, who's like one of the faster bowlers going around, he's also like such an interesting character. Like he's a former male model. He is just a guy that plays a lot of swagger. Might still be a current male model. Sorry, Riaz, if you're watching. Zagreb Assassins, I think they're the team that, it'll be a big ask for them, I think, to be competitive in this group. And just looking at their squad, they do have Luke Vukasic in. So the Vukasic is a very talented cricketing family. They are. You probably realize that if you've been watching. But they need something quite special. Jawahar Danakula, who we've seen captaining the national side in the last year, he'll play for them again. Assassins are part of a big Zagreb crosstown rivalry as well with Zagreb Sokol. So Assassins qualifying this year. And they had to do that, but in a playoff with Sir Oliver Split, who were the ECS champions last year. So the Assassins got the goods over here. But you mentioned the Blinders. Blinders, super interesting story. They won the ECS final last year, and it was a crazy game. They were like 90 for 9 with an over to go. And the number 11 hit 33 off the last over.
Otherwise known as a Jimis now, almost.
Yeah, Ibra Ahmed. It was crazy. It was crazy. And then he chipped in with a couple of wickets because he is meant to bowl. He was like, they still might be carrying him on their shoulders. He was amazing. But Budapest Blinders, they picked up a couple of really interesting wild cards. Speaking of wild cards, so they have picked up Jason van der Merwe of Ireland 11 and CIYMS last year, and another CIYMS player in the ECL, in Jacob Mulder, the flipologist. And that is
that
pretty...
makes life interesting. That's that's good depth into their squad, that
They've
is.
already got players like Abbas Ghani, who was MVP in the recent T20 tri-series they did last week in
Very
Malta.
good.
Hungary played a great week. They won the T20 and the T10 series against Austria and Malta. Just look at that again.
And they improved all the way through it as well. So these
Yeah.
guys are going to be on a roll.
Yeah, I mean, Stefan Gooch has made 150 on ECN in T10 cricket and holds the best figures of 6 for 2. Has been bowling again since he's been qualified for Estonia. That's his citizenship. But he was instrumental in starting this Budapest Blinders Club when he was living in Hungary. So, one thing I'll mention just before we kind of shut shop on this group is that after taking a bit of a break in the wilderness, a.k.a. will have Mohammad Kamran back.
Yay.
Left arm, very fast. And watch out, he's got a slightly new look. I won't spoil it for you, but he will be back. But also got players like young Mohammad Atif, left armour, plays a lot for Spain. Excellent young cricketer. Plenty to name. Mohammad Babar will be there, kicking on the one-hand 6. And, where do you... Mohammad Ihsan. I know he normally plays, but he might... No, he's in the squad. Okay, good. Yeah, I heard he might have a personal commitment that will keep him out, but it looks like he's in the squad as well. Zain Naqvi is their wild card that they've gone for who plays for Italy and also played for the Western Shield squad. So this one just has a slightly different feel about it. Because
you said at the beginning, Group
B,
is it the group of death? And I'm now listening to some of those wild cards going, that makes it really interesting. Jason Van der Merwe, he didn't play as well in the last time he was there as he did previously, but if he cracks on, you've got...
But he was scaring me how hard he was hitting the ball. And I was like behind him in the commentary box. Like I hadn't heard noises like this.
Yes.
And I was like, someone better get these fielders' helmets. Get the bowler in the umpire helmet now. Because he is a hard hitter.
Well,
anyway.
I love that. A smaller club getting 2 really good wild cards. That's going to balance it up a little bit more, which is going to be great for that group, definitely. Talking of Irish, though, we go to the following group, Group E, and the champions of Ireland are Lisbon this year. This, I think, personally, this for me is the group of death. This is the...
Well, now I'm looking at it more closely. I kind of see your point. I mean, you've got... just looking at this, again, we've got a bit of northern exposure, if you want to call it that, with Sweden, Finland, and Estonia all in the same group.
Are these all your commentary lines that are getting ready now, is it? This will be the northern exposure. You make a note.
Northern exposure, yeah, you could say that. You don't get a lot of sun in some of these countries, actually. Definitely not this time of the year. No, Lisbon, excited to see them in Group E, kind of breaking the... Oh, I don't know. I suppose stranglehold, but it's only the 4th time we've seen Ireland in the ECL. First year we had Brigade, who made it to Championship Week. We had COIMS qualify twice. So I suppose a bit of pressure on Lisbon to... And
who've they got as their wilds?
Yeah, no, just have a look at their squad. I had a bit of a look at it before, but looking at their squad, they've only got 2 players that we've seen before on ECN. Now, one of them's Adam Kennedy, who actually has taken a hat-trick in the ECL, playing for COIMS, and the other one's Ryan Macbeth. And Ryan Macbeth, we've seen playing for Brigade back in 2022. So, I mean, they're a couple of good players with experience, but just looking at this, they're going to be very, very competitive. I think there's no doubt about that. Whether they can kind of, I suppose, compete straight away could be the thing.
Yeah.
So...
And if I was to say, if I look back at the ECC... the young Irish squad that came over struggled to compete from the start because lack of experience, and that's what I'm thinking potentially could be an issue there. Whereas Vorberg, Ariana, Empire, and Talent Strikers have got no end of T10 experience, haven't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, Vorberg, yes and no. We haven't had so many because the Dutch season's so packed. We haven't had a T10 there really for a couple of years. And so there are players I recognise from around the place. Patient Charambura is in there. You've got Floris de Lange, Cedric de Lange. You've got Maes van Vliet, who was a good pace bowler for the Netherlands 11 in the ECC last year. But there's a couple of names there that I thought might be there that aren't. So Vivian Kingma is one of them that plays for VCC in the Netherlands. Baz Delata, I thought maybe if they could get him available, he plays for them. He's the prince of the club. But I know they'll be good. Udit Nashir, we've seen before for the Netherlands 11 as well. I think they'll be pretty good. But yeah, like I know they would have loved one or two more of their big names to be available. But yeah, I mean, Dutch cricket's a pretty solid competition. And to win it, you have to be a pretty good team. I remember I actually did their KNCB finals day to see who would make it into this ECL. Unfortunately, Rain was the winner on the day, but VCC they qualified on position and they thoroughly deserved their place. So yeah, Ireland and the Netherlands, they've actually got quite a bit of history. They've been playing each other quite a lot in T20 cricket and even 50 over cricket. But looking at the other teams in there, yeah, look. Ariana CC, they're going to be great. They're not Ariana Keefe that played a couple of years ago. They're actually their rivals. There's like an Ariana derby, if you like. So they're from the Skåne region, which is in the south of Sweden. Now look at they had a couple of interesting ones as well, just for ECN avid viewers, because they've actually got Azam Khalil, who captained Albi Zalmi to Championship Week back in 2022, including one of the best games we've ever seen. They were 9 down, I think they said 67. They were 58 for 9, and it was all hell breaking loose. But yeah, looking at their squad, they've got someone that I can't wait to see. Oh, there's a couple actually I'll mention. Plenty of talent in there, like raw talent, like raw kind of raw. But Nusratullah Sultan is he's a massive unit. He's a guy who can hit the ball hard, and he actually won a golden ball once, even though it was just basically on a misfield, and he got up and he pounded his chest like King Kong, and it was amazing. But the other one, you'll love this one. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Ihsanullah Wafa.
Okay.
Look him up. Wafa, W-A-F-A. He's a wild card, I think, because he normally plays for Kristianstad in a similar region. He bats with his hands the wrong way around on the bat.
Yes.
And he smashes it.
Yes, I remember now.
We've done videos on him before. He smashes it. And if he gets going, like, what the Irish guy...
Have we all been doing it wrong? Yeah. Is that it, basically? Everybody who's played cricket has been doing it wrong.
I don't even say the wrong way on the bat anymore. I say the other way.
Yeah.
Because I'm not convinced. Actually, maybe the Irish with the hurling, maybe they kind of relate to it.
Maybe.
Absolute guarantee the chat will be full of the question, how does he not break his wrists? Because every time.
Freak. He is a freak. In a good way.
I'm not setting an offside field.
Well, the other thing is Empire CC, they're always a team that flies under the radar, but they're always really competitive.
Yeah.
I think there's good quality cricket in Finland. They've got good facilities up there. Okay, the weather probably could be better sometimes, but Empire CC, we've seen them create some good results for themselves, and they've earned their way back. And to be honest, there's quite a few clubs in Finland, but they always seem to, or lately, they seem to find their way back. Jordan O'Brien's in there. He's a class act. Jonathan Stamon's behind the stumps. And let me just check this one, because just spotting their squad, looks like they've got Jared Wilson, Ireland 11 player and former captain of Ireland 11, as their wild card. So Jared Wilson's a
Jared Cricket Jobs Wilson is going to be turning out for Empire.
Yep. Nick Salinan as well.
He'll be getting a text from me tonight.
Yeah, so ask him about it. They've also got one of my personal favourites, the Wild Thing, Amjad Sher. Hey, but before we go, let's just touch on the strikers. Now, the Talon Stallions have made it last 2 years, but the Talon Strikers, different team, obviously. But I noticed they've got Saif ur Rahman, who I think is a wild card. He really has been a standout for the Stallions when he's played for them. But Arslan Amjad is a guy who hit 183, not out, second highest score in a T10 last year for the Strikers. Strikers were really good. They've also got David Robson, who plays the national team. Looks like he's in as a wild card as well.
He is.
So there's their two. Look, again, they play fearless cricket, and we have seen all of those players before in ECN. So for some of them, it'll be their first trip to the Kartsma Oval. But again, they've got match winners in there. So
they've played ECN, but they haven't played the big show, and that's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be a really good group, that one.
So good, so good.
Get ready, because it's time to save at your Nordstrom Rack store. Now through February 23rd, take an extra 40% off red tag clearance boots, jackets, and sweaters. We're talking the best cold weather styles from Vince, Cole Haan, Sam Edelman, and more. All on sale for even less. All sales final. You never know what you'll find, but you know it's gonna be so good. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
Let's get into Group F, which, I'm going to say it out loud, has got the single best named side in the entire competition.
100%.
We've got the Old Victorians, we've got the Farmers, we've got Istanbul KSK, we've got Ljubljana, but we've also got the Wolferdanga Optimists.
Wolferdanga Optimists. Oh, what a
What
name.
is that?
And people then often misname them as the Wolferdanga Optometrists. But it's nice to have a glass half full kind of...
it's always a positive mentality in cricket. It's all the modern way, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Wolferdanga is where the ground is in Luxembourg, where I'd love to go to Luxembourg for a series. Maybe a 1 weeker. I mean, they've only got a handful of teams there, but Luxembourg have some good cricketers in their midst. And I might as well start with them. Yeah, Wolferdanga Optimists, they made it into the competition this year for the first time. Remember last year, we actually saw Heritage CC of Luxembourg involved in a golden ball, their very first match against the Cobras of Hungary, and that was a really good one. I know they've got some good experience in their team. Joost Meijs is like an evergreen player, kind of grew up in the Dutch system. He's played a lot for the Luxembourg national team. Apart from that, I mean, they've got some good players in here. Probably Milad Moman, he's a bit of a tearaway. Mohit Dixit's very experienced. They're going to love being there. I'm sure about that. But I do think they're running into the two Jersey sides. Obviously, because Old Victorians were runners-up last year, it means Jersey get 2 spots. So they get the runners-up automatic qualifier and another team qualifying out of Jersey, and that's Farmers, who we've seen a couple of times before as well. So I think the Jersey...
Let's talk about Farmers, because I think they've got one of the most interesting squads of the lot.
Yeah. So let me click on the Farmers. I'll see what catches my eye. But
I know exactly what's going to catch your eye.
Julius Soumaret.
Keep going.
Playing for Farmers. Yeah, he's from there, but he plays with Zach Tribe. That's good. Jack Kemp. Yeah.
And
looks
the
like a good
Sturge.
Oh, Storman. Are you talking about Storman Norman? Stanley Norman?
Tommy, the Sturge.
Oh, good one. Yeah, good pickup. Tommy Sturge. Oh, let's see if his moustache is still there. Yeah, Tommy Sturge. England 11. Pacer. And very
clever.
Good player.
Clever.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. Yeah. Farmers will definitely
take some beating.
Definitely. All Victorians, I mean, looking at them, they've got they lose like some players actually play for Farmers that played last year, like Soumaret in Championship Week last year. But yeah, looking at that, I mean, they've got Jonty Jenner, who obviously just kind of had a purple patch at the right time in the Championship Week last year. Jamie Watling likewise scored some big runs.
So we're going to see Tommy Sturgis bowling at Jonty Jenner. That could be fireworks, is all I'll say.
Definitely. But let's not kind of discount a couple of teams that, to be honest, I think they're kind of fighting for maybe just to qualify. Ljubljana of Slovenia. I mean, they'll be hoping that they can compete. I know Ramanjot Singh is a real character behind the stumps. He's just fun to watch. He'll play his shots. Shoaib Siddiqui, again, raw talent. The Slovenian competition, obviously, it's nowhere near the standard of some competitions in other countries that are involved. So it's always a challenge. But actually really impressed me last year. Izaz Ali, again, a pretty experienced player for them, probably captain the side. And, hey, What about Istanbul KSK? Yeah, they're a very interesting story. When they first came to the ECL, it was in 2023, and we were pretty sure after we'd had a club called Zeytinburnu Zafer play in 2022 that we're constantly getting bowled out in the 20s. We're like, okay, well, we started planning early matches. They came out, they beat the Irish club, they beat the Portuguese club. They were both pretty strong. So they've beaten COIMS before, who've made it all the way to Championship Week. Having said that, do think it's a tough one. I'll give you one to look out for.
Go on.
It's the one that Corey affectionately calls the Sherpa, Murad Ozbek, the left arm pacer, who's just a really good bowler. Yeah, it doesn't look like he'd play cricket, but he does, and he plays really, really well. I think he hit the winning runs. And to be honest, I've never seen celebrations as big as when they won their second game.
I remember that well.
I don't think they actually won another game after that. But they were... And
that's what it's all about.
They always bring that enthusiasm. You remember the Turkish side in the ECC? There's a great video still doing the rounds about youngster Ilyas Setin, who threw the ball over the boundary accidentally when his teammate came back, won the game for his team. Enthusiasm there. That will be a fun group as well.
There's going to be a lot of deals made on the side. What with you've got Luxembourg, Slovenia in the 2 jersey deals. There's a lot of high finance flying around in the background once the cricket's dealt with. So it's definitely Group F for finance. That one.
It's a high GDP per capita group.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Absolutely. Tax dodging group, as other people call it. Yeah.
You said that, and I'm not editing it. And we move on to Group G now. Well, what I'll say is, I think as wild cards go, we're actually seen some good ones so far with Ian Cobain, with the Sturge, with Jonty Jenner, with Jared jumping in at the guys from Finland.
Yeah,
let's talk about Roma CC in Group G, because I don't think anyone can quite top this when it comes to their wild cards.
The first thing I will say about Roma CC is they're great hosts when we go to Rome. We play it there, and they hosted the Milton Shield as well last year. Europe versus the British and Irish 11 in women's T10 cricket. But they did make it in 2023. They won every game, then they lost their final, and it stung. It still stings, I think. And so they are determined to try and put the best team on the park possible. They had to win their way through. We actually showed the men's T20 finals, the semi-finals and the final in end of October last year. And Roma CC won out. Now, they already have a very good team. I will say that. And they already have quite a few players with first-class experience in Sri Lanka. There's a little bit of diversity, but they're primarily, the majority of their players have Sri Lankan heritage. They're Sri Lankan Italians. But I know what you're getting at. And not only will they have players that we've seen do very well in the network, like Charles Fernando, like Dinadu Marage, for example, Prithuvi Samarage. They're quite spin-heavy, actually, Roma CC. Sujit Rilagaragi, who's like 50, but still looks about 25. He'll be their keeper.
Yeah.
But, as one of their wild cards, they have got Dasun Shanaka. And Dasun Shanaka, like, only a few months ago was captaining Sri Lanka in limited overs cricket. He's a guy who's played 6 test matches, 71 ODIs, and 102 T20Is. So cricket at the highest level. So what's that? 179 games through Sri Lanka. He's got 2 ODI centuries. He's going to be really, really tough for anyone to deal with it.
However, he's never played on the Khartoum Oval.
He
has played all over the world in virtually every franchise comp going.
But I will say also that you could play every franchise comp and you still wouldn't be any closer to the Khartoum Oval experience. So, I mean, that is true. I think he's an amazing get, obviously. But time will tell, how he takes to it. But, I mean, he'll actually be our first test cricketer that will play.
I was going to say, is he the most qualified player or the highest standard player that you've had? Most decorated player, shall we say?
Yeah.
Well, yes, in the ECL, probably. But remember, we're going to have Ross Taylor playing next week in the Western Shield, for example. Yeah. We're not trying to make comparisons between very good players. But
do you think Shanika's actually got the wrong flight and he was supposed to be playing in the Western Shield and now, oh, come on then, it's a month later you'll play for Roma?
I think a few people will hope he takes the wrong flight, particularly that team's in Group G. But hey, very, very interesting. So Roma CC, they're back, and they're back to win it, not just the group. They want to win the whole thing. We've seen sometimes teams going from the last group, Group G, straight into Championship week and keeping it up. We also seen teams kind of crashing. So you never know with that group. It's kind of swings and roundabouts. But what I will say in that other group, I've got some other good ones for you in that group. And I know we're probably running over again, even so I always say I'll keep it brief, but I've got so much that I want to talk about. But let's talk about Beveren, renegade team. I mean, the Belgians play Belgian ball. They did it before it was cool. And you got guys like the big left armer, Hadisura Tarakel, who's just like a big, strong, strapping guy, like to hit the ball hard, likes to bowl quickly. But missing a couple of names I thought might be there. Saber Zakil is one from Beveren, who I see isn't in the squad. He's had some injury issues. But Beveren will be very competitive from Belgium. They're the least scared team I've ever seen. They don't care who they're playing. Absolutely. Anyone, anywhere, they'll play the same way. Marlow from Portugal, they're back at the ECL. They did play in 2022. Found it tough going, making the adjustment. But they do have a name in there, I noticed, Jeremy Martins. Who was he's actually playing the Western Shield next week. And he played very, very well for the Portuguese team in the ECC, the Euro for cricket. Definitely makes them competitive. But again, you've got players there that the question is, can they go up to the level required to compete at the ECL? Time will tell. Indies from Guernsey, Independent CC. Guernsey in the ECC last year, their national team unfortunately got relegated, but that's not to say there's not a lot of talent there. So I look at that Indies side, when they turned it on a couple of years ago, they were probably the best bowling and fielding side in patches.
Absolutely,
and Will Peatfield took a hat-trick, I remember. You've got CJ Peatfield in there as well. You've got Kieran Lagale, big pacer as well. Nathan Letitia is it's almost ambidextrous how well he can play his reverses. Tom Nightingale as well, very, very good player. Zach Damerel. So, players that are good cricketers and have a fair bit of experience on the Cardimer Oval. So, I think they'll be good. Last one I want to talk about, though, Mediterranean Vikings from Gibraltar. And Gibraltar, they kind of shocked everyone last year. Calpe Giants qualified from there, and Charles Packard took 32 off the last over to knock out the Norwegians. And it was nuts. It was a record. It's been equalled, actually. It was done the other day. By
Jim Deploy.
Also seen 32 to tie and win in a golden ball.
And he scored 34
Mediterranean. 34. Just a couple of extra for fun. But they've got some good players we've seen recently, like Jamie Riley, who played for the Spanish side at the start of the year in the development side. Louis Bruce, nice to see him back at the Oval. Man of Night, we saw him playing last week. And then who else? Avinash Pai is very experienced. Charles Packard is in that side. Ian Latine's in that side. Kenroy Nesta, big Canis is up there. But I got to talk wild cards. And their two wild cards are Taranjeet Singh of Romania, who's played. He actually played the very first ECL for Cluj, and he's played whenever Cluj have been in the ECL, and he's a mainstay in the national side. Off-spin bowler, outstanding fielder, and opening bat. The other one is Musa Ahmed of the Netherlands. So Musa is a guy we've seen playing a lot for the Netherlands 11 at the Cardimer Oval, but he's also got top team experience. I mean, this is a guy, he's made runs in South Africa against South African attack.
He's played T20 international as well?
Yeah, he's played 15 ODIs, actually.
ODIs as well?
Yeah. So, he's a guy, he's faced Rabada, he's faced all these kind of guys in South Africa. And so,
that's he just an interesting group then, isn't it? The wild cards from the Mediterranean there really are interesting.
Didn't even mention Lorne Burns, by the way, who is an outstanding leg spinner and actually played in the county system as a bat when he was playing second 11 cricket in the county system in a former life. But yeah, Lorne's going to be a handful as well. So, yeah, what do you think?
Depth. There's a lot more depth. Just seems to be, isn't it?
That's all I'm hearing. I'm hearing every club's got more depth than ever before. And as I say to anybody who's watching European cricket the first time, the funnies are great, but watch the quality. Some of the quality last week between Hungary, Malta, and Austria, some of the catching, some of the hitting was just phenomenal. And it's the type of thing that nobody ever talks about because they're too busy watching somebody knock over the stumps, unfortunately. But actually, I think the likes of the Hornchurch boys will be able to tell us when they come back. It's just going up and up and up.
Yeah, that's what we want as well. You know, when I think about how far this tournament's come, like I said, there's a reason that a lot of people say to me, look, there's so much great cricket on the European Cricket Network these days, but there's something special about the ECL. Having players go against each other that would never in any other way play against each other, and to see how that goes. So, look, Hornchurch, I think, based on what they did last year, they have to go in as favourites. They played their best cricket when it counted. But what I love, and this is something Corey says all the time, he says, one thing I love about the ECL is probably 12 clubs that might be able to win it. You know, no one picked Drew two years ago with, we glossed over Drew a little bit, but, who can forget Nabi 2 years ago? Okay, went off the ball a bit last year.
But the year they won it, he took everyone apart. It just takes that.
Did.
I'm looking at Jonty Jenner playing for Old Vics. He literally could take everyone apart for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He's just that for the bat.
Yeah, look, can't wait. It's going to be great. We mentioned Western Shield a couple of times. Maybe if people aren't so familiar, we have a revamped Western Shield, which is basically it's like it's like a multi-country internationals in a way.
It's the Ryder Cup for cricket on steroids.
It is. You're right. It started with Ryder Cup, but then people wanted more, and we're like, well, how can we do more? Last year we had 9 games with 2 teams. Now we've got 25 games, 4 teams, not only the British and Irish side, not only the European side, but now joined by an Asian 11 and also a World 11. And the idea, and I know you might say there might be some questions like, for example, where's Dan Lincoln or something like that, but the criteria, again, has changed a little bit. It's meant for more younger players that are kind of on their way up and trying to break into
what you're saying about Dan's age?
Yeah, well, I still think Dan's.
You've just got loaded that one. You just fed me that one, haven't you?
How old is he? He's over than 30, then it's over. Let's have a look.
No, he's 30.
Is he 30? I'm looking at him now. Oh, he's 29 and 9 months. But I think the idea was they wanted as many players to be kind of 25 and under. And that's so quite seriously. Mm-hmm. I mean, Dan led the British and Irish side to a wonderful victory last year. Kind of miss him being there, but also I can understand the direction that our partners are wanting to go with it is to try and get as many 25 and unders there. They're mentored by the icon players. So Kevin O'Brien for the British and Irish side, of course. I'll never forget that game against England in the World Cup where he came in and
we've forgotten it. We've forgotten it all.
Yeah, you probably forgot it. But also, Joe Burns captaining Italy now gets to captain Europe in this side. Said Ajmal, of course, former Pakistani off spinner, is going to be playing, and Ross Taylor for the World 11. So Ross Taylor, I think he's 40s. I bet he's in good shape as well.
Unbelievable player.
It's designed to maybe have a few more viewers that wouldn't normally watch European cricket to get more of a sense of it. And then hopefully they stay along for the ride of the ECL, which is going to be sensational. And of course, we've got cricket all the way through I think it's a 46-week season this year, consecutive season. And sometimes we have even more than one location at once. So it's going to be great.
I can comfortably say, recording this, that this episode's going to go out on Tuesday, the 18th of February. The Western Shield starts tomorrow. Is on the 19th of Feb. The Western Shield starts off. Loads of cricket to watch. Some fabulous play. Friend of the show, flying in all the way from Australia. Peter Hatzloglu's on his way to Cartama. And
do you know who else? James Basley. We're going to get Basley Ball.
Basley Ball.
The Cartama Oval. Baz Ball's taken apparently. But I think Basley Ball's going to be.
You do realise that you've also got our head coach.
Yeah?
Tom Scully is the head coach of the Premier League Cricket Club, and he is our head coach.
I know Tom very well. I mean, we're from the same city. So, and Tom was actually quite a big part of our first ECL back in in La Manga in 2019. So it'd be great to actually catch up with Tom. He does great work with
it
Cricket
will. And for those who are listening in the UK, let's be blunt about this. The players that you're going to be watching the most are the ones from the England 11 who massacred everyone, to be frank, when it came to the ECC. And my favourite sportsman in the world, and Dan Lincoln's, Mr. Johnny Connell, will be there to hopefully batter the ball all over the place. You got Seb Allison.
You're right.
You got Sam Keeling-Wright, the speedster. And Mr. Tom Hinley returns to Cartama to once again bowl his whatever he
left arm mysteries.
Absolutely. Yeah. Who's going to be the biggest mystery spinner of the week? Tom Hinley or Hatzoglu?
Oh, Saeed Ajmal. He's got a few tricks up his sleeve, I'm sure.
We got a great week's cricket ahead, haven't we? Great week's. But anyway,
it's going to be great. It's going to be new. One more thing before we go. By the time this airs, you'll know what your team will be in the sweep as well. So, we've got something. I think I've got over 250 people now, and I never advertise it, but people just say, Vinny, you're doing the sweep. So, when you watch this, if you get onto me, I might be able to allocate you a team, but it's just a way to, some people, they might go for one team, but they get given another to go for. Remember, there's 35 teams. They're broken up into 7 groups of 5, 3-day kind of mini tournaments each, and only the winners survive to the last week. So, I guess we'll see who you get. And I know you got the England 11 last time. Let's see if you get English team this time.
Oh, don't give me Northern or Hornchurch. Just do not give me either of them, please. But what I will be doing is I will be choosing a team in each of the groups as we go along, and then you get to follow someone all the way through. Dave does the same. Dave B does the same in the chat.
Yeah.
We've got a team. We'll follow it all the way through. Question for you before we go.
Sure.
What is the average run rate going to be during the tournament? We were pretty close for the ECC. Yeah, I always think the ECL's slightly down on the ECC.
Can I cheat? Do you want to know what it was last year?
Go on.
In the ECL, I remember thinking it'd be 130 or 13 and over. It was 13 point. Oh no, hold on, that's Group A. Overall, this is the beauty of being able to multitask. Overall, it was un momento, por favor. It was 13.1, so it's 131. I reckon it could go up this year.
Just a bit,
I'll say I'll take 134, 13.4 for me.
In my head, I was thinking 135. Yeah, I'm just thinking we're not. I think there's a ceiling, isn't there? I think there's a ceiling.
I would never play on the same episode of The Price is Right with you. You'd be one of those people that bids £1 higher. No way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll take the 134 and under because I don't know. The bowlers, they do have agency, even though sometimes it seems impossible. The bowlers, in a way, they're the ones that have to adapt, find ways to work. It's very hard to be an average bowler and get away with it on the Cartama Oval. You've got to find something, and the good bowlers adapt and they stand out. And that's always what I say to bowlers is, you're exposed out there. Let's see how you go, and let's see how you handle maybe some outcomes that aren't so good to see how you come back.
And let's look back at last week and remember what happened there when the Hungarians were scoring 70 off their first 3 overs. The moment they started losing wickets, momentum.
116 Hungary scored in their first 5 overs, and they lost them at game. Hornchurch scored. Hornchurch conceded 100 to Huddinge, the Swedish side, in their group final, but ended up winning the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 20 overs, 10 overs aside, it's a bit longer than you think sometimes. There's time for some momentum shifts and twists and turns.
Absolutely. Hey, Vinny, been an absolute pleasure as always. It's been a whistle-stop tour around the whole of Europe, and if I ever get to know half the names of the players like you do, I will feel privileged to say the least. But as everyone's listening, as I said, from tomorrow, Vinny will be there at the car. He's basically parked at the Cartama Oval for the next.
I'm not going anywhere.
You're going to be yourself together with Rico, Tina.
Yeah, Rico's there.
And I've got to ask,
Tina, we'll be doing the Western Shield. Yeah.
Is Corey coming back for ECL?
He is. Yes, he is. I should mention Tina. She, because this is organised in advance, now she's part of our commentary team, but she's doing just after the ECL. So she's doing the Western Shield, the start of the Western Shield with me, and she'll also do a European Cricket Series in Portugal straight after. But during the ECL, it'll be myself, it'll be Rico, it'll be Corey. Corey loves the ECL. He's always telling me it's his favourite tournament. Of course, he won it back in 2019 with VOC Rotterdam of the Netherlands. And also we'll have Rhino back, Andrew Ryan, who, again, he's one guy. normally comes through a bit of a cameo in the middle. He's quite high up in basketball, actually. So it's not always easy to get him, but he's a bit of the fabric of the ECL, and he'll be there as well. Probably, from the middle to just before the championship week.
He'll come in when you have your little bit of a break that you need, because as the real fabric of ECN, you need that break in the middle somewhere, don't you?
We won't have too many breaks. Don't worry about that. But we're so excited. Hopefully the weather's good. Fingers crossed. That was this time of the year.
Yeah.
You just pray it'll be okay. Although it is called the Costa del Sol for a reason. And look, for everyone out there, if you're working out how you'd like to watch, generally it's on YouTube, our YouTube channel, ECN European Cricket Network. We are on some international TV partners as well, so you might want to check that, or you can check our social media at European Cricket to see the latest list. But yeah, we want you to watch it. We want you to enjoy it. It's a cricket league for cricketers, just like yourself. No matter what level you are, you could play in the ECL. It doesn't matter how high you played. It's really special, and we want to keep bringing more and more people into it. So yeah, come along for the ride. Chat to me in the chat. It's unique as well, the fact that we can have a two-way conversation, and while I'm commentating, I can be chatting to our viewers. So it's great.
Chat with Vinny, chat with me, chat with the whole gang will be in there in the chat. Don't forget to subscribe. We're going to get to 450,000 this year, aren't we, on the subscribe?
Think, I want 500,000. I want more.
But just think about it. We're at 430 odd, or at 430 odd thousand subscribers to the channel, and we'd still know half the world hasn't got a clue we are.
But can I tell you something that I learnt from in the break? I did get to go to ECN HQ in Switzerland, which was very lovely up there. I had some wonderful cheese. It's not just a cliche. It's actually amazing. But our daily viewing numbers, they average about 35 million across all platforms.
Wow.
So about 35 million people on average a day check out ECN. And that's a lot of people. So, yeah, you got to realize that YouTube's just one platform we have. Obviously, in Fancode in the subcontinent, there's a huge audience for it. They eat it up. We know how cricket mad they can be. But they're not the only ones. We've got viewers in over 160 countries or something like that as well.
Absolutely.
So
Brilliant.
Get involved.
Can't wait. I've got 5 weeks of cricket before I have a week's holiday. I've made sure my holiday is after the ECL. Yeah, I haven't told the wife that, but I've just made sure. That's one of those things. I'm going to leave you with this, Vinny.
Mm-hmm.
The news from Sturgis Towers.
Yeah.
Is we will have to wait and see what comes out. Will the Sturge be back? Tommy will be, but will the Tash?
Oh, that's the kind of cliffhanger I want to end on.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Vinny.
Thanks so much. Ian. Appreciate it. It was great fun.
Cheers, bud. Thanks for joining us at the Premier League Cricket Club. We'll be back soon with more from the world of Premier League and NCAA cricket. But in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review and follow us wherever you get your socials. Or maybe check out our website, premierleaguecricket.co.uk, to stay updated. Until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Save on your next oil change at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Choose Castrol Edge Full Synthetic Motor Oil to provide maximum performance and protection for your engine. Get a $15 gift card after rebate when you buy 5 quarts of Castrol Edge for $34.95. Plus 2 times O Rewards points. Offer valid in-store and online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.